All right, let's just jump right into this. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is a super exciting night for me. For those who don't know, I was just on the road traveling the country for the last month. And I've been just seeing the world and really experiencing life. And I just got back yesterday. So I'm back in Jersey City now. And the day after I return, what more could I ask for than doing an event with Russ Terry? All right, let's just see the chat real quick to make sure. Okay, cool. We're good. So I'm really excited to be back home, back in Jersey City, back with a great friend of mine, Russ Terry, for this awesome night of value and just lessons about kind of how to find more clients on LinkedIn. I'm super excited about it. We're going to get to it shortly, and I just want to thank everyone for being here. But just a few quick announcements before we jump into it. I'm just checking the chat here to make sure we're all good. Can someone please just give me a little, or Russ, can you give me a thumbs up in the chat or something if you could see the screen, the presentation I'm showing? I believe we're good, but I just want to be sure, double check. All right, great. So welcome, everyone. For those who don't know, the Jersey City Tech Meetup is an organization where we host monthly events covering all different topics in tech, everything ranging from cannabis to social media marketing to blockchain and more. So we generally have had our events in person, but due to the times, we've been doing a lot of virtual events. So we appreciate you being here, and welcome to the community. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Instagram at JC Tech Meetup to stay in the loop about all the upcoming events and anything we have going on. It's a really exciting community, and I'm really happy you're all here with us. So thank you for being here. Normally at the live events, I'll have an opportunity for everyone in the beginning to make announcements, whether you're looking for a partner for a new startup, or you're looking to fill a position, or you just have some advice about anything. Generally, I have that opportunity for you to do that at events. But since we're doing virtual, if you have anything you'd like me to share with the community, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know, and I'll be happy to share that. So you can reach me via email at ben@jctechmeetup.com. And, or you could just go to Instagram and shoot me a DM, anything. If you want me to share it, this is all about collaboration and community. So if you have things you want to share, we are happy to do that. I want to encourage everyone, kind of a little bit about the format of how tonight's going to go is Russ is going to go through the presentation and share a lot of awesome value and actionable takeaways for how to find clients on LinkedIn. As we go through, he's going to be answering some Q&As from the audience and from myself as we go. So don't wait till the end. If you have questions, just feel free to pop them into the Q&A at the bottom of the screen here, and then we'll be happy to answer them and share whatever we can. Also, feel free to use the chat. Kind of think of it as a virtual networking. So introduce yourself, say who you are, say hi, let people know where they can find you. Don't be shy there. This is more of an interactive event, so we really want everyone to engage and have some fun with it, because we're here to have fun and have an awesome time. So just a quick little note, I think the automatic function of the chat is to just chat to all the panelists. So if you'd like, just change a little drop down to panelists and attendees, so you make sure everyone can see your chat rather than just the panelists. And yeah, feel free to introduce yourself and kind of network throughout the event. Quick announcement, save the date. Wednesday, May 26th is going to be our next event. We're going to announce more details about that over our Instagram account and on the email list. So if you go to jctechmeetup.com, you can find out more information about that. But this is going to be an in-person event, COVID friendly, of course. We're going to have all the safety measures in place. But stay tuned. Wednesday, May 26th, save the date. I'm really excited to start getting together with people again in person. So we're going to be doing something in person. And as you know, for the first 2 years of the Tech Meetup, a lot of people know it was all in-person events, and that's what I really love. I love feeling the energy of the room and the people there. So there's just something different about it. I love it. I'm really excited. So please save the date, and I would love if you would join us. It's going to be very exciting. So more details coming soon on that. Quick little thank you to our sponsors. The first sponsor here I want to list is BU Social Media Marketing, which is actually my social media marketing agency. We specialize in brand strategy, content creation, and page management for social media. So whether you're a brand or a small business or anything who's looking for some help with your social media, we are here to support. Or if you know anyone, please feel free to send them my way, ben@bumedia.com, or again, just DM in JC Tech Meetup account, and I'll be happy to be of service to whoever's looking for that. McCarter & English is our sponsor in the legal realm for startups. Anyone looking for legal advice or documentation or just anything, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll get you in touch with the right person over at McCarter & English. NJ Tech Weekly. I'd like to thank them. They're always covering our events. They're an awesome organization and it's free. So feel free to sign up for NJ Tech Weekly at njtechweekly.com. They give free newsletters about all the events and all the news and everything that's happening in New Jersey. I know a lot of people think Silicon Valley is where it's all at, or New York City, but there's really a lot happening here in New Jersey, and they're always covering it, and they're always covering the Jersey City Tech Meetup. So we're very appreciative of that, and you should give them a follow and see what they're doing. And lastly, Mission 50. They are an awesome co-working space, and they are doing a lot of awesome renovations to their space. I'm really excited about the growth they're having. So they're offering some promotions for the JC Tech Meetup community. So if you'd like to capitalize on that and get out of the apartment and into a co-working space, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to get you in touch with the right people. Again, you can get in touch with me by email, ben@jctechmeetup.com, or always just hit me up on Instagram, DMs at JCTechMeetup. All right. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our great friend, Russ Terry. For those who were at the last LinkedIn event, he just is packed full of value, and he really knows the strategies to make his six-figure coaching business through LinkedIn, which I'm personally very interested in learning more about. And you're all obviously interested in learning more because you're here with us. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Russ Terry. Russ, please introduce yourself.
What's up, Ben? So good to see you, my friend. Hey, everybody. Oh, my God. Ben is my favorite friend that I made during the pandemic. We had met before COVID, but we cultivated such a much stronger relationship, friendship, work relationship. Just he's an awesome person and great energy. And I'm always grateful to you for having me on JC Tech Meetup event. You are the man, and you're a visionary, and you've created this amazing group. I mean, the picture behind you, I remember what our in-person events were like, and I'm so excited to get back to them starting on May 26th, less than a month away.
May 27th, but close.
Oh, May 27th, exactly a month from today.
Yes.
My bad.
No worries. Thanks so much for being here, Russ. Appreciate you. We're grateful for you as always. You're awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. And I'm grateful to you for giving me this platform. And who's ready to learn a lot about LinkedIn? Excellent. I love it. All right. So just like last time, Ben, you can be my guinea pig if you want to. So obviously you were here last time. For our participants, let us know in the chat if you came last time or if this is your first LinkedIn event through Jersey City Tech Meetup. That is, I think, a good data point, but we have so much great stuff for you tonight. All right, so as Ben said, I have a six-figure business, and the biggest way I get clients, or one of the biggest ways, is through LinkedIn. So tonight, I'm going to tell you the 6 different ways I've built a six-figure business through LinkedIn. So can you believe that, Ben? 6 different ways that I get clients through LinkedIn.
And I didn't even master one yet, so I'm excited for all 6.
Well, it's really great stuff. And basically what I'm going to show everybody tonight is literally an exchange of LinkedIn messages so that you can see how I was able to cultivate and strengthen relationships with people through LinkedIn, which led me to then getting clients. All right, so Fred was first time, and oh, good, it is May 26th. I'm glad I wasn't wrong. All right, and I know
sorry about that. Hey, I'm a little rusty. I've just got back.
It's all good. You drove across the country, which is an amazing thing. All right, so for the attendees, we have first-time people, which is okay. So we may be there may be things that we did last time that you don't know yet. That's okay. We will show you what's on tap for tonight. And like Ben said, please feel free to ask questions throughout. All right, so let me go back to sharing my screen and all right, so the names have been changed to protect my clients, if you will, but I'm going to walk you through, again, how I got these clients. And again, as Ben said, Ben, you can ask questions, or if people in the audience want to ask questions, I'm happy to answer any and all questions. So this first person, we'll call him Zeke Peters. We connected on LinkedIn almost 6 years ago. June 25th, 2015. He came to one of my speaking engagements. He actually was getting his executive MBA at Cornell University, so has an Ivy League education, and he just became a client this year. So this is a relationship that I cultivated for 5.5 years, and he's now a client. So LinkedIn sometimes will let you get a client right away, which you'll see examples of that tonight, but other times it's a slower build. So for those of you that are new entrepreneurs, there are absolutely things that you can be doing today that can help you get clients today, but also help you get clients in future years. All right, so here's the exchange of messages. So you'll see the first message says, congrats on getting promoted to manager. Did you leave and go back after grad school? That's what I did at PwC. So I worked at PwC, which is one of the big four. This guy worked at Deloitte, which is also one of the big four. So because we had that in common, I mentioned it in the message to him. Now, you might be asking, congrats on getting promoted to manager. How might you know that? So I'm going to go to my LinkedIn. So let's see, let me pull up my LinkedIn. Share screen. Here we go. Okay, so on my LinkedIn, you find out information like this here in the upper right where it says notifications. So I'm going to click on the 16 notifications here, and you're going to see all different kinds of notifications, but the most important notifications for you is this second one down. Congratulate Tony Zampella and 8 others for starting new positions. So before I became so busy as an entrepreneur, I personally would go through all these. And now I have so many LinkedIn connections and so many clients, I don't have time to. So secret just between us, my assistant actually sends people the first message on here, and then I follow up with a message. So what I do is scroll through all of these. So, and I will then send a personalized message congratulating them for their promotion. So let's go to Ilya. Ilya and I worked with each other at PwC, and then he went on to Google, as I recall, and now he's at a company called Noom. So he's somebody that, because of the great places he's worked, is yes, so he was at Google for 8.5 years. Wow, so cool. We worked together at PwC he was there for 6 years, 8 months. I was there for a little longer. All right, so I'm gonna click on message and say, Ilya, congrats on the new role. Seems like or actually I'm gonna say, and you can see my screen, right, Ben? Ben, can you see my screen okay?
Oh, sorry, I was just giving a thumbs up, but yes, definitely.
Okay, perfect. All right, so Ilya, congrats on the new job. Seems like a great role at a cool company. Awesome to see all the excellent stuff you've been up to since we both left PwC. All right, so then I'm gonna click send, and obviously I sent this one, so my assistant isn't gonna, which reminds me to make sure I tell her that I emailed Ilya, and she doesn't have
get
to.
double messages.
I know, he'll be like, WTF.
Like, yeah, hey, I know you liked me, but come on.
Exactly. So messages like that, it took me maybe 1 minute to do it, but Ilya is somebody who is very successful in his career, so fits the profile of somebody who can afford coaching. He worked at Google, which is, on many people's top 5 or top 10 lists in terms of places that they want to work. And now he has a new job at a new company. So even though we don't know each other super well, we at least know each other a little bit. So this is a great opportunity to keep in touch and reach out to a person like that. Make sense?
Yeah, and it's so quick and like you just did it live for all of us, and that I love that. I'm a relationship guy, so kind of just seeing how that keeps the relationship alive just by saying a quick, "Hey, that's so awesome!" Like That's such a simple takeaway that I don't even think about doing. This is why you're awesome.
Well, thank you, Ben, and you're awesome too. And yeah, so it's like LinkedIn makes it so easy for us because they tell us what are the career-related changes in the people that we're connected to. So it's like here on a silver platter, Russ and Ben, is information for you to reach out to people that you know. We're giving it to you all wrapped up in a bow. All you have to do is spend 30 seconds sending a message to this person.
And we could afford that. We could afford that 30 seconds.
Exactly. All right. So now let me go back to the messages to and from Zeke now that you know how I did it. So he wrote back next day saying, Russ, thank you. That's correct. I left and came back. Would love to chat with you on what made you decide to leave PwC. I'm currently struggling with finding fulfillment at work. While successful in my role, I find myself coming to the same question every day. Is consulting still for me? I highly welcome and would appreciate any insight you have. So, wow, that's awesome. So it's like, oh my gosh, me just sending a message to him, he's like already interested in potentially talking to me. So then I write back same day, thanks for a note back. Let me know if you want to have a free coaching session. I worked with about 60 PwC and other big four people who've had similar thoughts to what you said. He says, hey, Russ, sounds good. I'm in DC. Can we connect for a phone call? Over a phone's perfect. When is best? Days, evenings, or weekends? Then we exchanged a couple more messages about availability, finally scheduled a call for 8/27, so the next week. Zeke reached out that day and told me he had to reschedule. I gave him potential dates and times, but didn't hear back from him. So that's the next most important point here. We don't always know these people super well because they can benefit from us as their coach or service provider. That probably means that they can't fulfill all of their commitments these days, hence the reason why they need to hire us. So my advice here is to be patient. Not everybody is going to move forward right away. So then you go to the next series of messages. So again, this was August 2018. All right, so now fast forward to January. So what's that? 4 or 5 months later, I see he got a new role. So I say, hey, congrats on the new role. I know we never had that free coaching session, but let me know if you want to take me up on the offer at some point. So he just says, thanks, Russ. So then the following year, he got another new job. So this was last year in July. So we exchanged formalities, took advantage of opportunities to congratulate him on another new job, highlighting his career growth since we last spoke. So again, I see those notifications and I reach out. So then another 4 or 5 months goes by. And now, mind you, it's now been 5 plus 5.5 years since we first got connected and a few years since we first started talking on LinkedIn messages. And he reaches out of the blue and says, hey, Russ, I hope all's well. What type of coaching do you offer? I was like, oh my God, all types, career, executive, leadership, life, business. We never did have that free session. So I made sure I looked back at the messages to see what we said. I said, I'm happy to anytime you're ready. He said, great. Yeah, I'd love to schedule a free session. I'm looking for a career executive coaching. What's the best way to schedule time? So we exchanged availability for a Zoom call, scheduled the free session for the next week, 1/15/2021. So just a few months ago. So 1/15/21, we had the free session, and he very quickly after the session says, can you send me the 10 session invoice via PDF? 20 minutes later, Zeke paid the invoice in full for 10 sessions. His company sponsors personal development work and paid for our coaching. So his company paid for all 10 sessions, thousands of dollars upfront, 20 minutes after the intro session.
That's just the power of follow-up right there. I mean, you probably weren't even thinking about it for like a year, then he just pops back into your life and now he's a client.
Yeah, exactly.
And some people think if someone says no right then, that's just a no forever. But that's just a no right now. Or even if they don't say no and just kind of don't get back to you, that's just right now. But that's why staying in touch with people and that follow-up is so critical.
Exactly. So this is one of the top 2 ways I get clients through LinkedIn. People who come to my speaking engagements, I keep in touch with them, and then eventually they are inspired to hire me.
Well, congrats on the new client, by the way. That's still pretty recent. So
it is hot off the presses.
Yes.
So this brings up an interesting point, people coming to our speaking engagements. So regardless of what kind of entrepreneur you are, you are, Ben, or any of our participants are, getting speaking engagements, whether they're paid or unpaid. This one at Cornell was paid quite nicely, I might add, but I've done free ones also. But people that come to our speaking engagements are a new audience for us, and they already see us in a respectful way, excuse me, as a thought leader in this space. So there's like a gentle planting of the seed in their minds that, oh my gosh, it might be beneficial for me to work with this person at some point.
So how do you get these speaking engagements in general? Or what advice do you have for people who are looking to do more speaking?
Yeah, so like this one at Cornell, the woman who ran the career services department, she was in one of my speaking engagements. So a best way to get speaking engagements is to do speaking engagements, and somebody in the audience for one that I was paid very minimally for, but now she's going to hire me at the Ivy League school that she works at, which pays Ivy League money, let's say.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's like, for me personally, I still will take speaking engagements that might not pay much money, but are very beneficial in terms of exposure, and knock it out of the park when I do that speaking engagement so that people are impressed and people want to connect with me. And then that's the other most important thing. So as you have a speaking engagement, it's super important to then make sure you share your contact info, which I'm going to throw in the chat right now, to make sure people connect with you, because that way we can keep in touch. I can keep in touch with them. They can keep in touch with me. They can see my posts and the type of services I offer, etc.
And now, so just even to dive a little deeper, for those who don't even know where to begin, like they want their first speaking engagement, where would you go to even find events, or to who to reach out to? Like, I know we're friends and we kind of collaborate, and I invite people on the panels, but for those who want to know, like, how do I even start that journey?
Yeah, so I would say think of the organizations that you know already. Think of the people that you know. Kind of put it out into the universe that you want to start to have speaking engagements. So for many years, I volunteered with Big Brothers Big Sisters of New York City. So one of my early speaking engagements that I had a few times was with Big Brothers Big Sisters of New York City. So I already knew the people there from being a big brother for many years and being very involved in the organization. So then when I switched to this, it was a natural transition because I know the audience, I know the people. So the key is to be politely assertive, which, as you may know, is one of my favorite terms, but to be politely assertive and say, hey, I'm now doing this. If you ever need somebody to train your social workers on X, Y, or Z, I'd love to talk to you about it. And that ended up happening.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, putting it out in the universe, that just gets the ball rolling, and then it comes back to you.
Exactly.
Great.
All right. So any other questions, Ben, on speaking gigs, or this example with Zeke?
I did have one towards the end, but I guess just like, I'll do it now because we're doing it interactive. I mean, so for that example, I guess that was coming at it more from a coaching perspective. So you saw that he was changing roles a lot. He wasn't fulfilled. And that's a clear fit for your role. Now, what about someone like me who's got a social media marketing company? When I guess it could still come in with the same free intro strategy session, that kind of thing. But I was just wondering for different, organizations, what type of message?
Yeah. So let's say that you see on LinkedIn that somebody started their own business. So if we were to go back to those notifications, let me share my screen. So I'm trying to see. Okay, so this Frankie Sheehan is now Chief Executive Officer at a company called Pendulum 360. So if we click on his profile, Pendulum 360 is a small business that has 2 employees, and he's the CEO. So somebody like you, Ben, could look at this and say, hey, I saw you launched your own business. That's amazing. Do you handle the social media yourself, or do you have somebody who does it? Um, if um, based on your answer, I do, and then based on his answer, have a follow-up question with,
Right.
exchange with him, because he could be somebody that is a good fit for your services. If he's CEO, he probably wants to be doing CEO things, and he may be happy to pay someone to do the social media stuff.
Exactly, because a lot of CEOs don't want to be doing CMO things, but they're kind
Right.
of juggling all these hats in the beginning. And if someone could take that weight off their shoulders, boom.
Exactly.
I love that. I
Exactly.
think that's a great takeaway. I'm going to start that tomorrow.
Oh, I'm so happy. Good to hear.
Thanks.
All right. You ready to move on to the next person?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So let's see who my next client through LinkedIn is. All right. We're going to call this guy Jose Benitez. So we connected on LinkedIn May 16th, 2019. I requested him on LinkedIn and he accepted, and he became a client in January. So what's that? 8 months later. So again, we're talking about a slow burn here sometimes. It's not something that happened immediately or happens immediately. And as you'll see, this is a special situation, but it goes back to me being politely assertive, as Ben knows, my favorite phrase. All right, so May 16th, 2019, thanks for accepting. I love coaching your dad. He speaks so highly of you. Nice to meet you. So I was coaching this guy's dad who lived here in Jersey City at the time, and his dad would often mention him. What do I call him? Jose. So his dad would mention Jose, mention Jose. So I actually was politely assertive and found Jose on LinkedIn. So Jose accepts and writes back. He really appreciates you as well. Great to meet you. So then I write back right away. Great to hear. I understand you may be interested in coaching also. Let me know if you'd like a free session sometime. I have several families that I work with multiple people in the same family. So he writes back a few days later. Thanks for the offer. I'd be willing to try a free session. About to travel to India and China for work. Tough time to make an appointment. Maybe we can meet last few weeks in June. Here's my number and my email. No rush whatsoever. When do you get back? I'll email you then. Safe travels. So he never answered then, but he did write to me in early January and said, hi, Russ, hope you're doing well. I just finished a trip to India and Barcelona with my dad. I've been doing some career thinking. So here's the big thing, Ben. You ready?
I'm ready.
When people are doing thinking about what it is in their life that's top of mind, who do we want them to think of as they're doing this thinking?
You.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding. Right answer. So he says, I've been doing some career thinking and I think it would be awesome to bounce a few thoughts off of you. Could we set up a bit of time? My contact info above is still valuable. So I say, good for both of you. Must have been a great trip. Yes, let's have a free coaching session. I'll text you in the next day or so. So the next day, 1/6, I texted him, set up the free session. 1/10, we had the free session. 1/10, right afterward, Jose paid and officially became a client.
Congrats again. That's awesome.
Thank you. And again, this is being politely assertive, doing some legwork on my own, finding him on LinkedIn because his dad mentioned him multiple times. This guy, Jose, worked at one of the reputable consulting firms, which again is the industry that I come from. I know he has the money to afford coaching. I know from talking to his dad that he has some career stuff top of mind. You saw that it didn't happen right away, but I was politely assertive in my messages to him. I planted the seed, and when he was ready, he came calling.
It sounds like really a lot of what I'm hearing is you're thinking about being proactive with the people who are already in your life, who you know, and how you could actually just go out there and leverage who you already know to kind of spread that network one more degree out and kind of find people. So that's a really, I like that tactic because we all know people, we're all working with people already. And it's like thinking about things they've said to you, right? Like what rings a bell? Like, oh, my dad was your coach, or that kind of thing. Like what have people said that you can really just be like, wait a minute, I'm not just going to let that thought pass.
Right.
Or be proactive with that.
Exactly, exactly. So this is actually the sixth family that I've worked with multiple people in the same family. So whether husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, father and son in this case, father and daughter, as you'll see later in the presentation, which I also got through LinkedIn. So um, when one family member has a great experience, if another family member is at a similar point in their life, who is that collective family unit going to trust most but somebody who's already a trusted service provider?
Exactly. It's perfect.
Yeah. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, we can get in our own way and think, oh my gosh, well, because I work with the dad, the son wouldn't want to work with me because that might be weird. No, I mean, it's coaching, it's social media marketing, uh, we're not, this isn't therapy. We're not having deep, dark discussions about, childhood trauma here.
Right.
Not that there isn't a time and place for that, but that's not what you and I and many of the others on this event tonight do. So, um, not getting in our own way and being politely assertive that I'm actually happy to have a free session with your family member too.
Yeah. And one thing I'd like to add to that is that if you ever do have these thoughts of like, oh, that might be weird to do this or that, I encourage you, even if you have that thought, just observe it and then reach out anyway, because the worst that could happen is they're just not interested. But you never know without actually trying to reach out. So even if you're like, oh, this might be weird, just recognize you're thinking that, but it still doesn't hurt anything to at least put yourself out there and attempt it.
Exactly. And over the years, I've only had one person, like the wife of a friend, that she said she wanted to work with somebody that, wasn't me, that, she didn't know the coach. So I referred it to a great trusted coach friend that I have, which that felt good for me to facilitate her getting a new client.
That's amazing. And can I ask a quick question also on that note?
Yeah.
So because with the last message, it sounds like with those two examples, there was a point where they kind of fell off, but then came back on. So do you have a rule of thumb or kind of framework for when you reach back out to that person? Do you have like a day out of a month where you go, let's look at the LinkedIn messages that fell off and kind of revisit them? What's your process for that?
So it's those notifications. Only when LinkedIn notifies me that there's a reason to reach out. That's primarily when I reach out.
Smart.
Now, that doesn't mean that once in a while I may not say, hey, how's everything going? But it's mostly, I would say 95% of the time, it's driven by the notifications on LinkedIn, because the best reason to reach out to someone is when we have a reason to reach out to someone.
Yes, exactly. It's good news to celebrate anything.
Right, exactly.
So how often do you check those notifications? What's your system for that?
So I used to check them a lot at the gym, believe it or not, like in between sets and stuff like that. Now that I don't go to the gym anymore because of COVID. So I have actually more than 8,000 LinkedIn connections. So it just got to the point where I couldn't keep up with everything. And our mutual friend, Jose Alejandro Rodriguez, he coached me for a period in the last 6 months or so. And in one of those sessions, he had the great idea: your virtual assistant, Russ, can help you get through these LinkedIn notifications. If one of the top ways for you, Russ, he was saying, to get clients is through LinkedIn, you want to make sure you're fully on top of all the things happening on LinkedIn.
That's super smart. I love that.
Yeah. So she typically goes through these because she has a lot more time to get through them. We spent like an hour or two kind of me training her in my language. For some of you on this, you may have the time to do this yourself. So I would say just keep an eye on the notifications. You saw when I went on tonight that it was like 16, which is kind of high. And then if we go to, it's funny, a couple of the people that I mentioned have written back to me in the time that we've been on.
That's awesome.
So who knows? Maybe I'll have a new client.
Oh, we're going to do a live new client during the session.
I know. Isn't that funny? Yeah. So because I have so many clients or so many connections on here, these are just the new positions in the last 2 days. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So depending on how many connections you have, this is a common feature on LinkedIn. So my advice is to stay on top of your LinkedIn notifications, because as you can see, that's a great way to get potential clients.
Absolutely. And do you have any, I don't know if you're going to jump into this at some point, so sorry if I'm jumping the gun, but do you have any advice for people who are looking to onboard a VA, where you can find them, kind of how you delegate your tasks, that kind of thing?
Yes. So there are a lot of VAs out there. It's a fast growing career. I think somebody who has great attention to detail is number one on the list, because you don't want somebody that doesn't, because the entire point of having a VA is for them to handle the details. Um, for me personally, the best way to hire a VA is someone you know and trust is already working with that VA. So they would add you as an additional client. The first VA I had was someone who wanted to work for me, but I probably didn't do as excellent a job as I could have or should have in vetting her. Her enthusiasm was sky high, but her execution of the details was maybe a C, which didn't work for me. I need somebody that's an A or A plus on the details. So good lesson learned. We still have a great relationship, but it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders when I got a VA who was actually excellent at being a VA.
Oh, incredible. And you just found that through a referral?
I was at dinner with a friend and fellow entrepreneur, and she was talking about her VA. And I was like, oh my God, I need a new VA. So she literally like texted me her info. I texted her like that night or the next morning. We had an interview the next night, and she started the next day.
So funny how things work out like that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because that friend and fellow entrepreneur, I'm so grateful to her for finding me this amazing VA that I took her out to dinner the other night here in Jersey City, because I was like, I at least owe you a dinner for finding me this amazing VA.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
All right. So let's go back. I have maybe about 8 to 10 other examples. So I want to make sure we get through them. All right, next person is Tina James. So we connected on LinkedIn on December 16th, 2019. I found her on LinkedIn Profinder, and she became a client February 4th, 2020. So that one was relatively quick. All right, so Ben, you and I have spoken about LinkedIn Profinder. Is that right?
Briefly.
Okay, so let me show everybody where you find LinkedIn Profinder. So let me make sure I'm sharing my screen with you. Okay, so you go up here to the upper right to the work tab. It looks like a tic-tac-toe board. And then you scroll down to Profinder. Now, I've already signed up for Profinder. So this is what it looks like if you've already signed up. So I'm going to click on client requests. So this is anything that people have requested from the types of service that I provide. So life coach, leadership development, career coach, public speaking, etc. So these are all the people that have put a request on LinkedIn for a coach. So let's go to this first one. So once you sign up for LinkedIn Profinder, which is a separate process, and I'll talk about that briefly, here's the way I do it. So I'm going to copy her LinkedIn headline, which is perfect. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to LinkedIn and search in the search bar. And so now you're getting to see the real stuff in action. So because I've done a lot of searches this week, it now tells me you've reached the monthly limit for profile searches, upgrade to premium business to search and browse without limits. So what I then do is then say to Steph, my VA, hey, can you look up this person on LinkedIn? So actually, Ben, because you're here and we're doing this live, I'm going to get you to look it up. So I'm going to put this title in the chat.
Great.
And then if you can then share your screen and copy and paste it to the search bar on LinkedIn, then we will get to see what this woman's name is.
Are you seeing? over
It
here.
says you've started screen sharing. So we just want to see not the presentation, but
Yeah,
just
but you
your
can see the
LinkedIn.
presentation screen, right?
Yes, so LinkedIn, perfect. Okay.
Right. So copied that. Gonna paste that in there.
Yep. So you want to click on, yep, either see all people results.
Interesting.
So that's interesting that we don't see this because usually it does work. So she's based in Camden. All right. So we won't use this example since it's not working. Usually it does work. So let me just go back
Perfect
and
example.
we'll figure out a different example. All right. So let's go to this person here who I did successfully connect with the other day. Now, the only thing, let me reshare my screen. Okay. So it's now this third one down. It's like a black and white picture of a woman with curly hair. The only thing, there's a little glitch in LinkedIn when there's an ampersand, this symbol after strategy. It adds the words AMP and the colon. So you just have to delete that. So I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to go to LinkedIn. And I'm just going to delete the colon AMP. Then hit enter. And so now we don't see the person right away, but the other night she did come up. So her name, I'll actually tell you. Let's see. It's ding, ding, ding. So the other day when I did this, I got strategy and consulting manager at Accenture, Roslyn Ortega. Now she's a first degree connection because she accepted. But turns out you and Roslyn are both in Syracuse University Alumni Network. So we both went to Syracuse and we have 6 mutual connections. So I found someone through her posting something 41 hours ago. So I did this, what's today? Tuesday. I did this on Sunday. And I found out who she is. Now we've gone back and forth on scheduling the free session. She hasn't confirmed it yet, but it's another example of kind of like the first 2 examples. Hopefully we will have the free session at some point. Does everybody schedule the free session? Not exactly, but many to most of the people do.
Nice.
All right. So if we go back now to the presentation, so Tina James, I did find on LinkedIn Profinder. So here's how the messages went. 12/16/19, thanks for accepting. Nice to meet you. Did I see on here that you're looking for a coach? If so, I'm happy to have a free session with you. So yes, I did see that on there on LinkedIn Profinder, but I played dumb a little bit, if you will.
Did I see? I don't know. Maybe.
So it took her a little while to write back, but in a month she did write back and said, "Hi Russ, hope all's well. Please let me know if you are free to chat in the coming days. You can reach me at, here's her email. I look forward to connecting with you live." So I said, "How's Monday at 10? If that works, here's my office line." So she said, "Great, I'll call you Monday on the line noted above. Here's my cell. Have a great weekend. Thanks, you too." So then we had the free session on that Monday at 10 a.m. She decided she wanted to move forward. 2 weeks later, she paid for the coaching sessions and became a client. So total stranger, never met her before, met her through LinkedIn Profinder.
That's incredible.
Yes. So Ben, are you on LinkedIn Profinder?
I'm not, but I'm thinking about doing that for sure.
Yes. And I had the instructions somewhere. I don't have them handy, but if you were to look up LinkedIn Profinder on your LinkedIn, either now or at some point later, then you can see how you can sign up for LinkedIn Profinder.
All right, great. I'll look into that. I definitely want to start using that. And would you say it's been much easier to find through Profinder versus just the classic, the first LinkedIn methods you mentioned?
So I would say of the 6 different ways that I've gotten clients through LinkedIn, 3 are people who came to my speaking gigs and then I kept in touch with them. And 3 are through LinkedIn Profinder. So those 2 are the top 2 of the 6 ways that I get people through LinkedIn. And then over the course of the night, I'll walk you through all 4 of the other ways. So the 6 ways total.
All right, great.
Awesome. All right. So I know we're about the halfway point. Attendees, any questions on anything that we've covered so far? You can type your question in the chat. Ben, can they ask a question verbally if they have it, or just through the chat?
Just with I could allow them to talk if they're interested in talking.
Okay.
Since we have an intimate group tonight, I'll be happy to do that. So whatever their preference is, we can make it happen.
Okay, so those of you that are watching, if you have a question, again, type it in the chat or let us know in the chat if you want to ask it verbally. All right, so let me pull up the next person while we're waiting to see if there are any questions. All right, so next person, Bob Myers, connected on LinkedIn, April 14th, 2020. When the pandemic hit, I had lots of time to be on LinkedIn because I wasn't as busy, wasn't traveling as much, etc. And that proved very fruitful. So I contracted him as a client 2 weeks later on April 28th. So if we look at the messages, when he accepted, I said, saw you're looking for a coach. Happy to have a free session with you. I've helped many late career people get jobs. I actually put that in the request, which I usually don't. And then when he accepted, I said, hi, Bob, let me know if you'd like to have a free career coaching session. Thanks for accepting. I saw your proposal on LinkedIn Profinder. So he writes back the next day, hi, Russ, best to have a quick phone call. Thanks. And I said, sure thing. What's your number? We exchanged a couple more messages regarding availability, scheduled a call. So so we had the call, and then on 42020, wink, wink, chuckle, chuckle.
He said, got very inquisitive real quick. I'm not sure why, but I have all these things going on in my brain.
So he says, Russ, sorry for the delay. I enjoyed our call, the free session. Couple questions with the LinkedIn suggestions. Would I make the changes and then you review, or would you edit and wordsmith? Same with the resume. So when somebody asks a lot of questions about working together, that's actually a good thing because that shows that they're thinking long and hard about working together and that they're likely to become a client. And then he goes on, I made a list, have 6 or 7 things going on, some time, yada, yada, yada. I feel like I need to have a plan for each. Oh my God, he's the perfect candidate for coaching, right? Rank them, set a timeline, put them in competition, etc. I'm having nice conversations. I need to turn something into a real opportunity. Is this something you have experience, feel comfortable with? Thanks. So I say same day, again, I want to be very responsive to clients and potential clients. Hi, Bob, no problem. Yes, yes, and yes. Our work together includes reviewing your LinkedIn resume and the accountability partner piece you described, prioritizing your possibilities and options, and then coming up with a tactical plan to move forward. I've worked with lots of folks on exactly that, including the guy your age from PwC, whom I mentioned the other day. He was in a similar situation, pursuing multiple paths simultaneously, who then, by the way, ended up getting a job, thanks to him hiring me as a coach. So that was on 4/20/20. So then next week he writes back, Russ, if you're still game, I'd like to go ahead with the program. I have much activity I'd like to make decisions on. Thanks for letting me know next steps. Looking forward to working together. 2 days later, Bob paid the invoice and officially became a client. A few months later, Bob paid for his daughter to become a client. 2 for the price of 1. LinkedIn reach out. Holla. So you've seen of my 4 or so examples so far, 2 of them, I coached 2 people in the same family. So 4 clients total, 2 through LinkedIn Profinder, 1, the dad here, I can't remember how I got him. I think he may have found me on Google or Yelp, but then the other, his son obviously was through LinkedIn. So again, it shows the power of doing great work, being politely assertive, spending time on LinkedIn, and the clients will follow.
That's wonderful. I love that. I love that all these people are referring their families to you. That just makes it, that's the best. Word of mouth, really, number 1.
It really is, because that shows that they trust me to work with their loved one.
And that's huge. They would not send someone to their loved one that they didn't fully endorse.
Right. And these were total strangers before, the dad in each case, total strangers before we became a client, or before they became a client.
Well, I love how that all unfolded. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Ben, any questions?
I'm good on those. Does anyone from the the audience have any questions, don't be shy. We have the master of the LinkedIn world over here. Capitalize on this. We have Russ Terry live, everybody. Ask your questions.
I love it. All right, so let's go on to the next example. This is a new example, so we haven't talked about this yet. All right, so Anna Salermo, we connected on LinkedIn May 2nd, 2020. I offered a free session in the Syracuse University alumni group on LinkedIn. So that is something that we haven't talked about that. She saw it and added me. And so let me just go to, okay. So let me actually go to the groups on LinkedIn just so that you can see.
Did I just see that right? Did you connect with their contractor the next day?
Yes, I think that's a typo, so sorry about that.
Oh, I was like, whoa, what day turnaround, Russ?
I know, right? Yeah, my bad. That's why I tried to quickly scroll away from that.
I'm sorry, I called it out. I was just trying to congratulate you if you did a one-day turnaround.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure I might have something like that at some point. All right, so it's ironic that we're on this other person from Syracuse because this is the group that I met that new client who was in the PowerPoint, the Syracuse University Alumni Network. So it has 42,500 followers. So last year, early in the pandemic, when I was sitting here at the crib with nothing to do, where do I post? But all over LinkedIn. So going to the LinkedIn group for your alma mater is a great untapped resource for any and all of you. So what I did was I went to the group on LinkedIn and I made a post. And I'm trying to think if I made a post on here recently, but this is where she saw it. Let's see, let me, yeah, okay. So okay. Yeah, so the LinkedIn group of your alma mater, great spot to periodically, just once in a while, share with your fellow alumni what you're up to. So I posted, hope everybody is doing okay during this, awful pandemic. I have some time in my schedule and I'm happy to have a free coaching session with anybody that needs some help, personally or professionally.
That's incredible. I'm taking notes and all that. I have so many actions for tomorrow and the rest of the week. This is awesome.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that. All right, so let's go back to the messages with Anna. So we exchanged messages in the group and then, I said, I'll request you on here. So then I say, hey there, thanks for accepting so fast. When is best for you to have that free coaching session, days, evenings, or weekends? She says she was job free, as I like to say, not working. So I'm pretty available. So whatever works best for you. We exchanged a couple more messages about availability, scheduled the call. So yes, it was actually. So on 5/3, she gave me the verbal go ahead. So we must have had the free session that day or the next day. And she said, hi, Russ, I talked to my mom about it and we both agree it's a good investment in my future. I want to do the career coaching with you. And she paid 4 days later, became a client.
There we go.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Tapping into the alumni group. That's such a good idea. And so many people need it. Right at that time, you said, hey, I just hope you're all doing well. I just want to offer this free thing for people who could use it. So you're providing value even before just saying, hey, I want your money. You're just actually like caring about them in these time of need.
Right. So, for you, you went to Stevens, right? So, how many people from Stevens are in corporate jobs, stressed out, or maybe going to, becoming an entrepreneur themselves. So who better to handle their social media than a fellow Stevens grad?
Exactly. The trust is already there.
Right. Exactly. You have that bond, even if you haven't known each other before.
Wow. That's awesome.
Excellent. Good. All right. Ready for the next person?
Let's go.
Okay. Okay. Next person, Christian Hernandez. So we connected on LinkedIn May 9th, 2018. So he came to one of my speaking engagements. So Christian, as we're calling him, he is a fellow graduate of Villanova, which is where I went undergrad. And in May 2018, I had a speaking engagement. So here we go again with the speaking engagements. It was free. It was for the North Jersey chapter of the Villanova Alumni Association. And again, our alumni associations for our alma maters, very similar to the alumni group on LinkedIn. It's a great group to tap into because you have that bond, you went to the same school, etc. So in this case, he actually sent me a message congratulating me on April 13th last year on something that I did. I don't remember what. So then
you're doing a lot of great things. It's easy to lose track of all these great achievements.
You're so funny. You're so funny. It's so true. Thank you. So it took me a few weeks actually to get back to him. So I said, thank you. And then I looked at his profile and see that he was at a new company. So I said, how's everything going at your new company, my fellow Villanova grad? So he writes back and says, going well, but lots of new personalities to navigate. I hit 55 this year, thinking about how I want to navigate the next 5 years, how to communicate that to the new players, would like to talk to set something up. So I say, hi, Christian, these are exactly the types of things I help people with. I'd love to have a free session with you. When is best? So we exchanged a couple more messages about availability, scheduled a call. So on 5/6, we had the free session. On 5/21, he paid and officially became a client. And again, as I said, we first connected 2 years prior when he was in the audience at a speaking gig I had for the alumni club. So again, the LinkedIn conversation, keeping in touch. In this case, he kept in touch with me. It's like, oh my God, I didn't even have to live
scenario
other than replying to him. And this was, again, a slow burn. It took a couple of years since we first met, but I planted the seed with him that when he's at a career crossroads or a job crossroads, I should be the person that he reaches out to.
That just goes to show the power of those speaking engagements. Even
yes.
years down the line, they're like, all right, well, he's the one. I didn't need it then, but now is when I need it. And it's a no-brainer that you go to Russ Terry for the services.
Exactly. So I've had, from that speaking engagement alone, there are 2 clients that I've had. So even though it was free, I got, at least $1,000 and probably between $1,000 and $2,000 for having 2 clients who were in the audience that day. So
that's so awesome.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Any questions on this one?
I'm good on this one.
Okay. All right. So next up, let's go to Lisa Dominic. So we connected on LinkedIn May 4th, 2020. So this was actually a special situation, but again, it goes back to me being politely assertive and me, especially early in the pandemic, having some extra time on my hands. So Lisa was referred to me by someone I found on LinkedIn who was featured in the New York Times in an article about job hunting during the pandemic. So I had a free session with that woman. Her name's Laura, who couldn't afford to become a client, but then within a few weeks, she referred someone who could.
Oh, that's great.
So again, I'm being active on LinkedIn. I read this article in the New York Times about this woman, Laura. She could have lived anywhere, but she lives here in North Jersey. I requested her. I said, oh my gosh, so cool. I loved what you said in the article about your job search. And I said, happy to have a free session with you. And she said, I don't know if I can afford you. I've been out of work. I said, it's okay. I'm still happy to have the free session. Again, those early days of COVID, so many of us had so much time on our hands,
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. So again, I had the free session with her. She couldn't hire me, but this other woman did. And this other woman, again, hired me for the initial set of sessions, renewed for even more sessions. So this is the exchange with the other woman, the woman that the first woman referred. Hi, Russ. Would love to have a conversation with you about career next steps. My former colleague, Laura Ward, referred me, suggested you were open to having a conversation. We greatly appreciate. We can set that up. So, hi, Lisa. So nice to meet you. Let's do it. One of the best times, days, evenings, or weekends. I'll add you on here too. Evenings can work, et cetera, et cetera. I'm currently unemployed. Thanks for accepting. So we exchanged a couple more messages about availability, scheduled the call, paid and became a client on 5/14. So 10 days later. And so again, this was something that happened very quickly. Obviously, if people reach out to us, they're ready to take action.
Right. You got to love that when someone reaches out to you, you're like, oh, I don't even need to do anything here. I just need to be myself. And that's what you're best at.
Yes, luckily for me, I'm very good at being myself.
That's why we love you.
Awesome. All right. So any questions or comments on this one?
I guess I have more of a general comment or general question.
Yeah.
Is how do you, a lot of this includes messaging people and kind of introducing yourself, even though I know you get a lot of messages that come into you, but when you message people, how do you stand out and actually get noticed amongst all the bots that are messaging on LinkedIn? Because I get 20 messages a day of just bots selling without forming a relationship, which is a big no that everyone should just know. You don't just start selling, you form something first. So how do you stand out amongst all those messages flooding everyone's inbox?
Yeah, I try to personalize it. So as you can see, I said to Christian, hey, my fellow Villanova grad, back to the first person, Zeke, I talked about PwC and Deloitte because I was at PwC and he was at Deloitte. So I try, the congrats on getting promoted, that piece of it. I try to always personalize it, number one. And then number two, I make it super brief. A few sentences at most. We're all super busy. We all get a million messages on so many different platforms that people do, the longer a message is, the less likely people are to respond. So short, sweet, personalized.
Yeah, I'm getting all these messages every day, paragraphs of a pitch. I'm just like, you don't even know me. Why are you bitching me this long there? Like, ignoring.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate those. If somebody sends me 3 messages without me replying on LinkedIn, I delete them I remove them as a connection because I'm clearly not interested. I just don't want my inbox cluttered with people trying to sell me things and badgering me.
Exactly. Well, that's a good rule of thumb for anyone watching this.
Okay, good. Glad you like it. All right, let's see who's next. Okay, Jason Kapoor. So this was a quick one. We connected on LinkedIn July 16th. He became a client 6 days later. So this was another one through LinkedIn Profinder. So hi, Jason. Thanks for accepting. Great to meet you. I saw you're looking for a coach. Let me know if you'd like a free session. I'm a TV reporter turned motivational speaker. So public speaking is my forte. So he requested on LinkedIn Profinder a public speaking coach. So he said, hi, Russ. Yes, I would. Awesome. Do you have some public speaking you can do during the session I can give you feedback on? We'll spend about 30 minutes, et cetera. So we exchanged a couple more messages regarding availability, scheduled a call. 7/19, he had the free session. 7/22, 3 days later, he paid and had his first session. And we've been having sessions every 2 weeks for 9+ months.
Wow.
And he pays my full pay-as-you-go rate, not the get a discount by paying in advance rate. So this is somebody who's paid me thousands and thousands of dollars just from finding him on LinkedIn Profinder and letting him pay as he goes.
That's incredible. This is the best scenario.
It really is. LinkedIn Profinder specifically and LinkedIn in general, as hopefully you and everybody else can see, is the gift that keeps on giving. There are so many different ways for us to get clients through LinkedIn.
Wonderful.
And, it's funny, I was speaking to somebody today who had a piece of advice that's relevant for him. So I made a note to text him tomorrow to share with him this relevant piece of data. So I try to go that extra mile, if you will, and provide exceptional client service, which then helps these people keep coming back.
That's great. So it's a combination of leveraging the platform plus relationship management skills and really just kind of tuning into your network. I mean, I think it's great also what you do is actually just providing a ton of value to the clients you have, because it sounds like they're referring their fathers, their sisters, their daughters, their enemies. It doesn't even matter. Some people are just so focused on finding new clients, you like leave the ones you have at the wayside, but you forget the main thing is make sure that it's worthwhile for those who sign up with you. And then the word of mouth spreads from there.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Next up is Kent Roman. So we connected on LinkedIn July 15th, 2020. So on that date, he requested me on LinkedIn. OMG. So this is another new example that we haven't seen before. So I said, hi, Kent. Thanks for connecting via LinkedIn. Nice to meet you. I love knowing what inspired you to reach out. Hope all's well. Have a great week. So he writes back and says, hi, Russ. Thanks for your note. Really appreciate it. I reached out because I like your profile and your comments about racism. I was also laid off a few weeks ago from my consulting job, building my profile. If you'd be open to a call so I could hear about your work, see if there's mutual benefit, let me know. So I wrote back, no problem. Thanks for your kind words. I'd love to chat. 2 options. If you want a free coaching session, which is an hour, we can do that. If you don't think coaching is for you, here's another option. So he's like, oh my God, yes, definitely free coaching session. So we exchanged a couple more messages that same day, scheduled a call. He ended up becoming a client in August, yay. So the next month, and a few months later, he got a job offer for a great company. And he's now posting about it on LinkedIn and sharing the opportunities for others to join the organization. So when I was building this PowerPoint, I actually reached out to him and was like, oh my God, I didn't know you got a job. I'm so happy for you. He was so stressed out when we were working together because he didn't have a job. So then even just building this PowerPoint, that was like, okay, let me pull up his profile. So then when I pull up his profile, I see he got a new job. So even though somehow I missed the notification on it, maybe it was before I had my assistant doing them, or maybe he didn't have it, maybe he had his security settings on something, whatever. I, at this point, then reached out over the weekend to say, hey, Kent, congrats on getting a new job. So happy for you and proud of you.
I love that.
Thank you.
And just from creating the presentation or just like getting prepared for this event, you find some good news and then just shows the results you brought to that person. That's more that just kind of further shows the benefit people get from working with you.
Yes. And, that goes back to our point earlier about the speaking engagements. So because I spent a good bit of time this weekend and my assistant spent time, she kind of went through, I sent her the list of names of the, 10 or 12 clients I've gotten through LinkedIn in the last year or so. And then she found them on LinkedIn and copied and pasted, built the PowerPoint that all of you are looking at tonight. So then obviously I've spent a lot of time preparing this PowerPoint. So then, as you know, this LinkedIn presentation is something that I do often for multiple venues. So this other place that I gave my LinkedIn 101 presentation, if you will, last year, I reached out to them this week and said, hey, the LinkedIn 201 presentation is ready. It's awesome. I'm going to tell people 6 different ways they can get clients through LinkedIn. Would love to deliver it for you. So she writes back, great. Our May and June is set, but we'd love to set you up for July. What's your schedule like on the Wednesdays in July at 2 p.m.? So I wrote back, July 14th is the best. I can make the 7th or 28th work, et cetera, et cetera. So now from doing this speaking engagement, I'm booking another speaking engagement. And the last time I did a speaking engagement for them, I got a new speaking engagement that was paid through it. And the organizer of this, the place that I reached out to, she just sent a note a couple of weeks ago introducing me to another place that wants me to speak on this topic.
It's a whole chain reaction. Just start somewhere and then the word spreads like wildfire.
Yes. And because most entrepreneurs are thought leaders on something, that gives us the opportunity to have speaking engagements. So I highly encourage you and everybody on this tonight or anybody that's viewing the replay, try to get speaking engagements, even if you're not paid for some of them in the beginning.
And I get just someone who's curious about how speaking engagements work. Like, when you reach out about speaking, do you generally reach out when they already say what the topic's got to be you talk about, or is it free reign where you're just like, hey, I want to talk about this and I want to make the presentation? How does that work?
It depends. So this company or organization I'm talking about is a national chamber of commerce. A lot of their members are entrepreneurs. So what better topic for entrepreneurs but LinkedIn? So to them, I specifically pitched the LinkedIn. for other organizations, like there's somebody that I worked with when he was a student at Rutgers. He's since graduated, is working at a small company here in North Jersey, maybe about 30, 35 employees. So just in catching up with him over text last year, I was like, hey, if you ever need any kind of training at your company, I'd love to talk to you about it. So he connected me with like the director of whatever. I spoke to that person. He brought me in there. They paid me to do an event on, I think it was motivation and happiness. So sometimes it's open and sometimes it's a specific topic.
Okay, great.
I'm going to turn my light on because it's starting to get dark here in Jersey City. Ben and I both live in Jersey City. Obviously, it's a Jersey City Tech Meetup, but I'm waving hi. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. I think I see you in the crowd here in my background somewhere. You're up on stage speaking. You're out of frame. That's what everyone's looking on that background I'm having. Everyone's looking at pointing their cameras at Russ. He's up there in front of everyone.
I love it. So cool. All right. I think we might have one or two more. Let's see here. Okay. Alex Small connected on, oh yes, this is hot off the presses, connected on LinkedIn, September 20th, 2018. So he was in another of my speaking engagements. Speaking of speaking gigs, thanks for adding me on here. Great to have you in the class these last 3 days. Can't wait to hear how tomorrow goes. He had like a big interview. I look forward to staying in touch. So he actually wrote back a month later, which is all good. Again, no pressure, no rush. Great experience with you leading the course. I absolutely learned new things. I had the interview, went well, full of open-ended questions, something we had talked about. They were trying to identify the candidates. Think I did well. We'll see. Thanks for the coaching session. It really helped. So I wrote back again right away. Great to hear. Thanks for your kind words. Good to know, etc. So we continued exchanging cordial messages from over the course of the next few days. So then maybe about 5 or 6 months later, Alex reached out on behalf of his fiance. So here we go with the family members again. Are you sensing the themes here?
Yes.
Who is possibly looking for a coach. She wasn't happy in her current position. I had the free session with the fiance. I actually took the opportunity to follow up with him about his prior interview. He ended up not getting the job. He remained hopeful. I reminded him, happy to discuss his specific situation in more detail should he desire to do so. So this was early 2019, so more than 2 years ago. I saw he was promoted this past June, so I reached out to him again. We exchanged pleasantries about the pandemic. Then Steph, my VA, sent this note earlier this month. So breaking news, hot off the presses. Congrats on another promotion. Very happy for you. Looks like you're doing great things at XYZ company. So he writes back right away, same day. Great to hear from you. How are you doing? Yes, XYZ made a big change, yada, yada. I'm actually updating my resume. I'm not sure I believe in the change and don't want to go down this path. So I said, oh no, sorry to hear that. Want some coaching to figure out your next steps. So, and there's actually a slight typo here. It was, we exchanged a couple more messages. So we had the free coaching session on 4/9. And again, 30 minutes later, he paid and officially became a client.
Nice. Look at that. This is the most hot off the press.
Exactly. Yes. So we had the free session a couple of weeks ago, or we had his first official session a week or two ago. He's loving working with me. So again, cultivating that relationship, coaching the family member, staying in touch with people through the LinkedIn notifications, all of those things, you can see the examples coming up over and over and over again. All right. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
How does your content posting on LinkedIn play into this at all? Like, do you have a regular cadence of posting that gets engagement? Maybe conversations are formed from what you posted. How's your content come into play?
Yeah, so I post on here once a week and comment on other people's posts multiple times a week. So some of my posts get more engagement, some get less engagement. And I think it all goes in the broader overall planting of the seed. People like Zeke, the first guy, who, I cultivated that relationship for 5.5 years. the other person who found me on LinkedIn and liked my headline. So I think it is a subtle / indirect-ish way, but I do think my posts on there help to keep me top of mind with people that I do this kind of work.
Absolutely. That's great. I love to hear that because I always highly encourage keeping a regular cadence of posting to stay top of mind for people.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So for me, I do it once a week and I kind of notice the engagement numbers, what gets more engagement, what gets less engagement, etc.
Great. Thank you.
All right. So let's see here. All right. So to summarize, these are the 6 different ways I get clients through LinkedIn. And this is just in the last year, as you can see. 3 through LinkedIn Profinder, which we talked about. 3 came to one of my speaking gigs, and I kept in touch with the person via LinkedIn. 2 special situations, like that referral from the woman who I found in the New York Times, or the referral of a family member. 1 through the LinkedIn group for alumni of my alma mater, and 1, the guy who found me on LinkedIn based on my headline, my posts, my comments, etc.
That's so awesome. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions or comments on this?
What I would really just ask, if there's not more of the presentation, is any final words of wisdom or gems you have for the people. But if you have more of the presentation, I would say, go through that first and then we can jump into that.
So just a couple last things. So next steps. So obviously this is one of my speaking engagements. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say something like this. Nice. So if you're in the audience tonight or watching the replay and you want to get more clients for your business through LinkedIn or otherwise, anyone watching tonight gets 20% off my regular coaching rates. So you can either email me, russ@russterrylifecoach.com, or text me, 646-460-0475 if you want to discuss. And of course, add me on LinkedIn, which I will put my profile once again in the chat so that the people in our audience can add me.
I'll throw mine in there as well. And of course, from the last session, you showed me how to properly do that URL.
Yes.
So
excellent.
For those who are enjoying this and want to learn more, you can watch a full video of the last session, which we covered a lot of other groundbreaking stuff too on LinkedIn. If you type in Jersey City Tech Meetup on YouTube, you can go to the account there and find the full video from the last session.
Excellent. Awesome. All right. So I'll put my contact info in the chat also in a minute, but I want to ask each of you, so our attendees and you, Ben, what was the most beneficial aspect of tonight's webinar?
Well, I'll jump in since I'm the one on the camera. I think for me, the most beneficial thing is actually just, I know it's what's the one most beneficial, there's 2 though, is really looking at the notifications and seeing who has a new position as a founder or CEO or something of small companies. That's such a solid tactic to figure out kind of who I could just be reaching out to and be like, hey, looks like a great new organization you started or you're working for, do you have someone who manages the account? That's such a solid, tangible takeaway just to kind of, I click the notifications generally and I just delete them because it feels like it's so much, it feels like a lot of spam, but I'm now going to look more kind of closely at them and figure out how I can engage conversation. And then the next one being talking to my alma mater group, Stevens. That's a very solid suggestion. And that just feels like such a tangible takeaway and I know you're saying what's the one most, but I'm having so many, and they've been using Profinder. Like I have all these great takeaways just to I'm going to start this week really just proactively trying to get clients. So, but if I had to pick one.
No, you don't have to pick one. I love hearing all of them.
Okay. Then we'll stick with those because that was really great for me.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Ben, for those. And I can't wait for you to get your first client through LinkedIn. I hope I'm the first person that you tell when it happens. For those of you in the audience tonight, if you want to drop in the chat what your biggest takeaway, Atlanta says, for me, it's been just having these tips, reconfirming the process and using the already established networks we have. Yeah, Atlanta, she's like the most awesome person ever. Her smile lights up a room. So Atlanta knows a lot of people, and from whether singing or college or socially or whatever, just like how we know each other. So her tapping into that network, keeping in touch with that network, them making sure that they know that she's a coach now, those are great ways for her to potentially get a client.
That's incredible. I love that. Thank you for tuning in, Atlanta, and for being part of the conversation. Always
yes,
great to have y'all.
all the way from Colombia. She's just like you. She loves traveling the world, just like us, man.
That's incredible. Well, I hope you're enjoying Colombia. And now it's been an international event tonight.
I know. Oh my gosh. We'll have to say that when we promote it. I love it.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. All right. So I am going to put my email in the chat too. Russ at RussTerryLifeCoach.com and my number. So if any of the attendees want to reach out. All right. So you did say a few minutes ago, hey, if we have more time, what was that in reference to again? I can't remember.
If you have any final pieces of advice or like words of wisdom for the audience.
Yeah, to just, be politely assertive. As discussed multiple times tonight, it's benefited me immensely as I've grown my business. So I always encourage other entrepreneurs, especially if you're new. Sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable to be politely assertive. Like some people would feel a certain kind of way about reaching out to the guy's son. As I did, he didn't reach out to me. He didn't say he wanted a coach, but I was like, you know what? I want to know him. We work in this, or, I worked in the industry he's currently working in. I think we would have a great connection. And he ended up becoming a client. And my relationship with both of them is stronger because I worked with both of them, the father and the son in that case.
Well, that's incredible. And I love that. I love politely assertive is how you got on the first panel that you were on, the JC Tech Meetup in general. So I love that. Always be politely assertive because the world doesn't always just hand you what you want. You got to go out and get it sometimes. And people are more willing than you might think to actually collaborate or be part of something if you just lend out the hand and ask.
Yeah, so you bring up a really fantastic point, and the audience probably doesn't know this. So yeah, last year, early in the pandemic, I said to you, hey, if you ever want a speaker for any of your events, these are some of the things that I'm having expertise in. So if you can walk people through what you knew about me before I was a speaker for your event and what you know about me now.
Yeah, so before you were a speaker, the first one was building your brand. That was the first one you were on. I knew you were in Jersey City. I knew you were a big fan of this community, and I knew you were a life coach. And because you've stood up at a couple of the events and just kind of said, hey, I'm a life coach if anyone's looking for that. So I knew you were an awesome supporter. And yeah, then you just reached out and said, I've built my own brand. I built a 6-figure business, and I see you're posting this build your brand thing. I would love to add my value to it. So I just figured, from what I know about you, I didn't know much, but I knew you were full-time as an entrepreneur. So you've obviously done brand building. And then we had the event. You dropped a lot of gems in that one. But then from that, I learned further that you're a master of LinkedIn and social media. And that led to us having a follow-up event where it was just a one-on-one me and you about LinkedIn. And that's when I really just kind of saw your expertise on the online presence and leveraging the internet to kind of find the people and be there for the people you're trying to serve. So I just went from knowing generally you're a life coach and community to really seeing deeper dive of your expertise and the value you drop on all these different topics. It's really been incredible. So everyone needs to check out Russ Terry, follow him, add him, hit him up, contact him. It's worth it. You're a great person, and I'm grateful to have you in this community.
Well, thank you so much. And you bring up an interesting point. So I actually supported JC Tech Meetup for years, at a year or two before I became a speaker for JC Tech Meetup. So I was there as an enthusiastic attendee. So that's another point that we haven't made tonight. You don't have to just have speaking engagements. You can go to things as an attendee, speak up briefly when you get your turn, start to cultivate a relationship with people. And as you just heard, Ben said, well, gosh, I know him as an attendee. You know, he spoke up a couple of times. He seems very supportive. He lives here in Jersey City. This is what he does. I don't necessarily know much more about him than that, but I'm willing to give him a shot. And, you know, by the way, I was like the third panelist out of three for that first event. You know, he had two already and he was looking for a third. So that was perfect. Nobody needed to know that I was like the last one that they found. And then that one led to my own speaking engagement with JC Tech Meetup a few months later. And now another speaking engagement of my own, where again, it's just me the following year. So continuing to, in everything we do, in person, obviously before COVID, and you know, once we start to get out of COVID, cultivating relationships, being politely assertive, being supportive, all leads to great things.
It does. And community is so important because we found each other, got connected through community, and it just leads to so many more things. So whether or not people know what you're trying to do, I would say still get out there and just meet people and try to form relationships, because that you never know. And from what you saw tonight with Russ, you might meet someone in 2017 and then three years later you sign them as a client. So you never know. It's always good to just make those relationships when you can.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for always having me on here. You're amazing. It's great to have you back in Jersey City, and I can't wait to see you in person soon. We'll have to text about that to set up a time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for dropping some incredible value as always. I know I learned so much. I have so many takeaways, so I truly appreciate this, and I look forward to more in the future. So thank you so much, and thanks everyone in the audience who joined us tonight and spent your night with us. We'll see everyone in Jersey City in person on May 26th. So stay tuned for that. We'll make that happen. And thank you. Have a beautiful night. Appreciate you. Bye, Ross.
Bye, Ben. Bye, Atlanta. Bye, everybody.